Hello everyone, it's Shara, and I hope that you had a great morning at Region 9 and learned a lot that you can hopefully bring back and share with your team this afternoon while you're planning and collaborating. And hopefully you got some information or some strategies that you can work into this plan of action that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. So I'm going to focus on 7th grade writing in this video because of course it is the only grade level where writing is tested, but these same applications can be used if you are a 6th grade writing teacher or an 8th grade writing teacher. However, if you also teach reading and you're a 6th or 8th grade teacher, I would suggest that you plan with your reading team just because that benchmark is coming up. So I might suggest meeting with them today too. If you do teach reading and writing, I would make some time for that. But if you just teach writing, then this video is for you. So I want to show you a sample lesson plan, which is what I would like you to complete today with your team, or at least complete as much as you can. So I'm going to use 7th grade writing as an example, and I just want to go over the instructions and then type in kind of what a sample lesson would look like if I was doing a plan. So let's look at it. Based on student performance in your class so far this school year, what lessons do your students need to prepare for the district benchmark? So again, that is referring to the 7th grade writing benchmark. 6th and 8th will not have a district benchmark for writing. I want you to collaborate with other teachers on your grade level team and determine what your students need, which may not be what's already in the curriculum. And what I mean by that is your students may be struggling with something that has kind of been taught and passed on in the curriculum, meaning it's not really coming up again enough. So you need to adjust and plan for a lesson that may not be in the curriculum. So that's something that you and your team need to work on together, or something that you need to as a team address and then talk to me about creating some resources for you that are a little more specific to your student needs. So I just want to make sure you understand the goal of the second semester is really to focus in on those specific things that your students individually are struggling with. So in other words, I really want you to do some reflection and think about what your students really need. And for 7th grade writing teachers, you've given a CBA. So you should have some data to look at, and that's really where you need to start. What did my students do well on? What did my students struggle with? How do my compositions look? So I would probably suggest you start there. In your team, look at your CBA results, multiple choice, and compositions. Read each other's compositions, help each other with scoring, kind of have those conversations about why you would score it a 3 or why you would score it a 2. That's something really important that teachers need practice with, is just talking about how they would score it versus how another teacher would score it. So that would be a great place to start, is with those CBA results, and kind of develop your plan from there. In terms of 6th and 8th grade writing, yours is a little bit different. 6th grade, you have your research unit coming up, so that is going to be something that's really important for you to have a solid plan to implement for that process. And also think about, how can you help the reading teachers? Can you start reviewing those different genres of writing that you covered, like writing a poem and writing a short story? Can you go back and kind of review some of those things to help them out on the reading test? And as far as 8th grade writing goes, remember, kind of our goal of that course is to prepare them for 9th grade. So we need to make sure we're focusing on those expository essay writing skills, that we're focusing on those grammar skills, whether we're using sentence of the week or revising and editing questions, something that will really help them on next year's test. Also, I know you're working on career cruising and doing some scheduling things, and I know that, but I just want us to stay focused and remember what the purpose of the course is. So I would like you in your group to complete the chart below with the objectives, which is right here, the activities you're going to do, and the assessments you want to use. And I will review these charts, and hopefully the goal is to adjust the curriculum resources based on what your students need. So I won't really know those things, and you probably don't have time to sit and really reflect on them. So this will help us get it down on paper and really help moving forward for me to provide the resources that you need. So I'm just going to create kind of a pretend scenario for a minute so that I can complete my objective, what my students really need to know, what my students will do to practice, and how it will look in my classroom, and how I will know my students learned it. So I'm going to do kind of a mock lesson plan here so that you can see what I'm looking for, at least something similar to it. It doesn't have to be the same for every day, but I do want you to see how this should look. So I'm going to pretend that my students really are still struggling with some editing skills after the benchmark and still writing that composition. They need to go back and work more on pre-writing skills, organizational skills, and really thinking deeper about the topic. So I'm going to go back and review those. So I'm going to look at 714D and I'm going to look at my TEKS here, 717A. Okay, and really those, I'm not as concerned that you know all the numbers of your TEKS because I know we have a lot of them, but that is editing drafts. So students need to know, let me say edit, how to edit drafts. I'm even going to say that, how to edit a draft, because that's really what I want students to know how to do. And write an organized composition. Okay, so that's really what I want students to be able to do. Today's instruction is going to help them edit a draft and write an organized composition. So I'm going to focus on pre-writing today in my lesson to show them how they can take a pre-write and use it to better organize their ideas. So the first thing I'm going to start with, I'm going to do a warm-up where I do a mini lesson about apostrophes. Yay, that's always fun, right? Students love apostrophes. Because I noticed on the CBA that a large percentage of my students missed the question about apostrophes. It was with a possessive. So I do want to go back and talk about that. So I might use the sentence of the week sentences that were already prepared, right? Because I may have already gone over those, but they clearly did not pick up on it. So maybe I need to go back over those sentences, or maybe I need to write my own. So maybe they need to have 3 examples that we analyze together. So I'm going to stop and spend at least maybe 10 to 15 minutes on going over the apostrophe rules, and then students will write their own sentences using apostrophes correctly. Okay? And that really could even be over here too. I'm going to put it in both places because really that is an assessment too. So I'm going to put it in both places. Okay, so that's going to be my mini lesson. I took some data from my CBA and I recognize they aren't doing that well, so I need to reteach it. So I'm going to do that at the beginning. Then after that, I'm going to show them, we're going to work on some pre-writing strategies. Pre-writing strategies to develop, more in-depth, I am so sorry, depth explanations. Okay, so you might want to use a strategy that you learned about in one of the sessions this morning. That was called classical invention. Remember where they go through and brainstorm about different, they think about the topic in several different ways. So I really want to show them how to develop ideas in pre-writing because that's part of the rubric. They really have a hard time with that. And so I think at the end of class, I want to do a quick assessment. How will I know that they know how to do that? I think I'll give them a pre-writing sheet and I will ask them to complete some of these questions. So I'm going to use the classical invention sentence stems. Okay, and I'm going to see if they can fill those out. And that will show me, can they think deeper about the topic? So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm not looking for, we're going to do 714D. So we're going to edit, and then we're going to pre-write, and then we're going to write. Okay, that really doesn't tell me anything. Like, yes, do I know you're going to edit? Yes, but I want to know what will students do to practice that skill? What will it look like? Okay, so to me, I'm probably going to do some guided practice. I probably should have specified that. Guided practice where I show them how to do the pre-writing and we go through some of the classical inventions as a class, and then I'll have them do that independently. Okay, so this tells me so much more about what I really want students to practice instead of this. So we're just going to take this out. Delete. Okay, I don't want to see that. 1 or 2 words for activities is not going to help us in really designing a lesson that will help students learn this skill. So remember, the skill, what you really need them to know should be reflected in your activities. How am I going to get them there? And then how am I going to know that they can do it? Okay, and this may take a couple of days, so feel free to continue the same lesson from the previous day. I would rather them really do one lesson in depth than try to continue too quickly and not really grasp the ideas we're wanting them to grasp. So For 7th grade writing, that's what I would like you to focus on. The other grade levels, 6th and 8th, feel free to discuss what you need to discuss, but make sure that you look at those upcoming units and see what you need to map out. And I would like to see this same kind of planning for you as well. Okay, I hope you have a great afternoon and get a lot done and enjoy collaborating with your team, and I will see you soon.